So in that sense, sorry, when do you see the entire Balkan region, theoretically, joining the EU? I know that first thing is that those countries fulfill all the requirements
Yes.
For the EU. But is there a real wish within the EU to embrace those countries which are now in not very good position regarding all the criteria that they have to meet?
Yes, I think there is a very concrete possibility now to accelerate, an opportunity to accelerate the enlargement process. The world has dramatically changed in February 2022 with the Russian aggression against Ukraine. Everything is really different in Europe under all respect, and certainly the enlargement, the way we look at enlargement has changed dramatically. We knew that enlargement was in our strategic interest as European Union to ensure that stability, prosperity and democracy was anchored throughout the continent, and the Western Balkans are right in the middle of our European Union. But with the Russian aggression, this need has become much more present, has become a key priority for the European Union. We have now 3 additional countries that have applied to become a member of the European Union: Ukraine, Moldova and Georgia. Ukraine and Moldova have received the candidate status. And we are now about to start the discussions on whether to start negotiations with Ukraine. And the Western Balkans in this context become an important part of our project. And we all understand that enlarging does require to have the Western Balkans on board. So now it is the time to look at the enlargement process with different eyes. And I think all the messages coming from Brussels, coming from the decision makers, member states and the institutions are sending the same signals. The President of the European Council has indicated that both the European Union and the Western Balkans have to be ready by 2030, has indicated the date. The President of the Commission has launched the growth plan, which is a plan to start integrating the Western Balkans into the single market even before membership, so they can already feel the benefit of membership even before becoming a member. And this are all ideas either on the political horizon or on the political side, on the more concrete side, to say we need to reinvigorate the enlargement policy. We need to give the momentum which is necessary for an enlargement policy that can actually help to introduce the reforms that are preconditions for membership, because it is true that enlargement is a merit-based process, meaning that you need to be ready to join. And as we're becoming a bigger and larger family, we look at the criteria more and more stringently, because we want that the family is actually made of brothers and sisters that have the same ideas, the same values and the same foreign policy orientation. At the moment, and the growth plan has not yet been articulated, and it will be presented soon. I think that we should have soon a better understanding of how this plan works, but fundamentally it's not a staged accession or sort of concentric circles. The idea is that we have the single market of European Union, 450 million consumers and citizens. This is a very powerful engine. This is what has changed the new members at the beginning of this century and before. If you look at Ireland, it was a relatively poor country when it joined in the beginning of the 70s. Now is a very wealthy and prosperous country. The same can be said of the Visegrad country, that some of them will become probably soon net contributor to the budget of the European Union, because the GDP per capita has risen dramatically. So this engine for growth can help the Western Balkans to reform, because if we open up some parts of the single market, like for example the digital single market, even before membership, they become part of this market, or in the payment area, on the trade area, facilitating trade. There will be an economic benefit for the Western Balkans. At the same time, They will need to reforms because they will need to adapt their own legislation quicker to the EU acquis because the standards need to be the same. And secondly, the idea is that you enter the single market earlier, but also, and in parallel, almost as a precondition, you strengthen the regional integration because the Western Balkans, as we know, are not very well integrated under all perspective. There's a lot of issues that remain from the 90s that need to be overcome. So this is also an incentive.
Political issues, mostly.
Also political issue. This is an incentive also to integrate further the Western Balkans. So this is the idea, and this is in a way to restart the engine of accession.
Recently, there were some speculations about the EU taking a bit firmer stand towards Belgrade because of this non-compliance. And then there was mentioned like a visa regime, so that it could be abolished. Then some investments, current or future, will be put on hold. And that the access to the funds, EU funds for Serbia, could be denied. What I say, that these are still speculations. There is no decision as far as we publicly know. But could that be understood as a warning, even if a mild warning, to Belgrade that it should finally start going towards the EU by complying with its rules?
Well, at the moment, absolutely, there is no discussions about abolishing the visa-free regime or cutting aid because of the lack of alignment in foreign policy. The discussion here that we're having now is about giving new impetus to the enlargement process. The discussion is about accelerating enlargement. And of course, when we present this opportunity, which it is a real opportunity for the country of the Western Balkans, there is an expectation of a response, that policy will be adapted accordingly, because the membership of the European Union is a strategic goal of Serbia. I think that it's clear that Serbian citizens will greatly benefit to be able to be part of the European Union. So we will see in the next 3 or 4 months, we will have a number of important meetings and important announcement of policy. If this understanding is clear in the whole region that we are entering into a new stage and we need to react accordingly.
Okay. How the EU sees, if it looks at it, these protests that are going on across Serbia? They started after those 2 massacres, and but now they are kind of covering other issues in the country. What does the EU see in that protest?
Yes. Well, first of all, I have to say that these protests were a reaction to the Ribnikar massacres and the one that followed the following day, and the traumatic experience that the country went through. And they've been continuing now ever since, so we have more than 4 months of protest. And it's an indication that the country remains polarized. There is a polarization in the political spectrum which is quite strong. I think we have to say first that the fact that people are able to exercise their right to freedom of assembly and demonstrations, this is good. I think this is certainly a good thing that they are able to march on a weekly basis. Peacefully, yes. This is important, that is peaceful. And they indicate this level of polarization. With a number of criticism of fundamental issues related to the function of democracy. There's a number of criticism related to key aspects of democracy. For the European perspective, obviously, first of all, it's important that this freedom of expression, freedom of assembly can be exercised, but also that the system is able to find some sort of areas of agreement, particularly when it comes to the European integration. It's clear that this big project of bringing Serbia into the European Union is actually supported by not everyone, because we'll never have everyone on board, and it's probably a good thing that we have some criticism, but a large part of the populations, but also a large part of the political spectrum. So the last elections that took place in 2022, where everyone participated, which is a good thing. It's a positive aspect that there was full participation of the political forces. And then when the parliament was formed, a number of opposition parties were given also some institutional role inside the parliament, which is also a positive aspect. But it's clear that this has not resulted into overcoming the polarization. We're still there. The European Parliament has been engaged in helping to overcome this state of affairs. They were here before the last elections with the inter-party dialogue, and they have been continuing the engagement with the political forces in Serbia.